Everybody get up, no need to cram now. We got a real jam going down, going down, going down, going down, going down, going down. Welcome to the IntelliJAMS. Here's your chance.
He's jamming, he's bobbing. We got the best
So groovy.
music in the game.
I love that music so much. And like, I know when we originally talked about IntelliJAMS, and I was like, oh, let's do this like Space Jam, IntelliJAMS hip hop kind of thing. This morning I was actually thinking like, oh, should we have done like Bob Marley and Jammin'? But maybe like in the future we could mix it up. But I actually really love this beat, so I say we stick with this for a little bit.
The jammin' one. All right, anyone who's listening, if you've got a good jam pun for us that's music related, we will remix some more music for this as we go. But Space Jam is perfect. Absolutely perfect for this.
And welcome to IntelliJAMS. I'm pumped.
The first episode, the inaugural episode. Maybe the best place to start for this is just kind of like jam on what IntelliJAMS is going to be about.
Yeah.
So
love to do
I think
that.
like I think the best place to start is like the name. I was listening to, obviously, like I'm pretty new here at IntelliJAMS, listening to a few calls, and I heard someone accidentally say IntelliJAMS instead of IntelliGems, and I was like, oh my God, that is so perfect. That's where the name comes from. Weekly, Adam and I are going to be jamming short podcast, video style content, just kind of giving you guys an idea on what's on our mind that week. I don't know where this is going to go. Might be product stuff, might be what's going on with our customers, might just be what's on our minds that week. But that's where we're going with it.
I'm really excited. I love to jam. People who know me know that I can just talk ad nauseum for about whatever. And so talking is one of my favorite things. Even when it comes to writing content, what I do is I just talk and then I record it and I transcribe it and figure out how to go from there. So yeah, jamming is one of the things I love to do the most.
All right, well then let's jam. Adam, what do you want to jam about this week?
I'd love to jam about taking COGS into account and thinking about profitability and what that really means when it comes to A/B testing.
Let's do it. This has been on my mind a lot. Obviously, like I said at the top of the episode, I am new to IntelliGems, and I think like one of the things that has stood out the most to me as I've just been learning the product and like learning the space is A/B testing. Obviously not something that's new. You got a lot of brands that are doing A/B testing, and a lot of it is focused on conversion rate.
Yeah.
And obviously what we're all about is profit. And that COGS component is such an important piece of this. And I just wanted to get your take on like how important is getting COGS into the equation? And like when you don't have that in there, how much is that hurting your ability to kind of see the whole picture?
I mean, it's super important. And actually zooming out, I mean, I think that there's a couple different metrics that are important when you're running A/B tests. And traditionally, people have been thought a lot about conversion rate. And when it even comes to marketing, they think about click-through rates and email open rates and things like that. So you're A/B testing a subject lines, like how many email opens did I get? How many click-throughs did I get? How many people did I get to like drive traffic to the site? And then of those people, how many of them converted? And so those are all really important. But I think at the end of the day, what's the most important is like how much money is this actually driving for the business? And that's really at the end of the day what we're trying to do. And so email opens are a precursor to that. And presumably if you can get more people to open the email, that will yield more money for the business, but not always. And so I think that it's really important to measure things on a profit basis. And it's literally impossible to do that without looking at things like COGS. So I don't know, maybe a really specific example is if you're A/B testing a discount. And so let's say Klaviyo has A/B testing built into Klaviyo. And let's say you wanted to A/B test a 10% off discount versus a 20% off discount. You run that through Klaviyo, and in your subject line, A is save 10% off this holiday weekend, and B is save 20% off this holiday weekend. Obviously, like we could all guess very easily that email number 2 with the 20% off discount is going to get more opens, more click-throughs, like more visitors, and probably will convert better, right? Like people who are getting more of a discount are gonna spend more money, or more likely to spend money. They may not spend more money actually though, because what they are doing is they're getting a steeper discount. So maybe they're both buying a $100 item. Group A person is buying it for $90. Group B person is buying it for $80. Which that's where it starts to get into like now, like, well, how many more people bought? What's the incrementality of the 20% over the 10%. And if it's marginal, then it may not necessarily be effective to provide the deeper discount over the 10%. So yes, Klaviyo will say, hey, more people opened this email, more people clicked through, maybe even more people purchased, but because it's at a lower price point, you're actually potentially losing money on that. And that's obvious when you think about it from a revenue perspective, say $90 versus $80. But imagine that, like, let's take a crazy example. Imagine that item has a COGS of $85, right? In the 10% off example, you're still making money. In the 20% off money, you're literally losing money. And, maybe there's a time and a place for that, but Klaviyo is going to tell you that 20% is winning, when in reality, you're just losing money. Like, money is flying out the window. And so anyway, I think that, like, without a view on COGS, you can't possibly truly know if what you're doing is having the positive effect on the bottom line that you're hoping it does.
Yeah, the email open rate's a really good one because, like, it makes it so obvious. Like, a 20% versus a 10%. Like, one is clearly more motivating the other. Which one is making you more money? And, like, the discount component, but you hit on something there that I think is, like, even more important, which is, like, what are your margins on that actual item that you're selling? Yeah. Because, like, way too often I hear people saying, like, oh, like, as long as we just, like, break even on the first sale, we're going to make it up later, the LTV, whatever, like 2 purchases from now. That's a rough slug to try to, like, hey, I'm going to go do something. I'm going to do all these promotions and I'm going to make it up 3 purchases from now. Yeah. When you have all of that COGS information in there and you're able to A/B test and see, like, hey, can I find ways to be motivating where I don't have to go into a crazy steep discount, or I don't have to do something drastic. I can make some small changes and, like, hey, introducing certain types of products, certain types of promotions, let me stay more profitable without taking a huge conversion hit. But a lot of A/B testing is just, hey, what's the conversion looking like? Conversion up, good. Conversion down, bad. Yeah.
And that's where it gets so nuanced. And there's, you might have different goals and different products with different cost profiles, right? So you might have high margin products and low margin products. And so you might have an A/B test where you might sell more stuff, revenue might be higher, but if you've driven people towards your low margin product away from your high margin product, maybe that's also not what you intended to do. If now you're just like, okay, people are buying more stuff, but all you've done is mix shifted towards the low margin things and you're making less money. I think that's also a trade-off that most brands wouldn't want to take. But again, you would need to drill into that a little bit deeper.
I see this on the acquisition side a lot, is like, hey, I have this kind of like hero acquisition product that I run through most of my ads. And for the most part, I'm operating on like a sliver of margin because, like, this is meant to be the door I'm opening for these customers. So being able to test, like, hey, am I able to introduce other products into that first purchase of that one? Or, like, hey, if someone comes in and buys 4 of those, like, that kind of sucks for me. I don't want them buying 4 of that. I wanted that to be the intro into this kind of relationship.
Yeah. This lesson was learned. It's a really interesting analogy to bring it back to marketing. This lesson was learned in marketing a long time ago of, like, it's not just about CPM, right? Like, I can find the lowest CPM audience, but that isn't necessarily going to, like, be the best buyer of my product, right? Like, you're going to pay a premium for people who might be a better buyer of your product. And what's important is finding the sweet spot of, like, okay, who's a good buyer of my product that isn't going to drive CPMs through the roof? And so I think that there's definitely a trade-off. Like, yeah, you want to drive purchasing behavior, but you also want to drive good purchasing behavior, if I'm making that analogy.
Yeah. And, like, I've been saying this line a lot. I personally think it's a bar, but, like, the only thing you can reinvest in, like, into your growth is profit. I can't invest just, like, losing revenue on this first purchase back into my growth. So the only way that you're going to be able to test for something here and actually be able to reinvest it into growing your business is if you find it profitably. And that's what introducing COGS into the equation is going to do. And I wanted to ask you a question about this too, because like, obviously this is IntelliJAMS. We're talking about Intelligems. From a COGS perspective, like, in the product, what does that look like for someone who's using Intelligems? Like, how do I introduce this kind of like COGS component to my experiments?
Yeah. I mean, something also that we're wanting to completely elevate to the next level. Right now, we can ingest COGS from Shopify although a lot of brands don't keep COGS in Shopify for a number of different reasons. So we also allow you to upload COGS directly to us. And then once you've done that, we can take that into account for metrics across the board and from a profitability point of view and help build that P&L view for every single A/B test. But yeah, we want to ingest COGS on a SKU basis. So every different product, every SKU is going to have a COGS associated with it. We're also looking at shipping rates, other transaction fees, other variable costs. Because yeah, it might be that you sold more orders, but that's going to be more pick and pack and more shipping and more boxes to deliver. So again, it's not always, more isn't always better. It's about the right kind of more and making sure that it's profitable, to your point. So we try and make that really easy. Once you just upload that data to us, or we pull it from Shopify and we have your shipping and fulfillment costs, we can build a pretty robust profitability picture pretty quickly.
All right. Well, I think that's probably a good spot to stop there.
It was super fun.
So fun. Thanks for jamming with us, everyone. These are going to be dropping once a week. Adam and Alex on IntelliJAMS.